I'm Brittney Saunders and welcome to Big Business, the place where business is far from boring. And today I'm recording on Gadigal land. Now, I somehow managed to build an empire from the garage underneath my house. And I'm here on Big Business to share it all with you. From the wins, the mistakes, the challenging times, and the funny moments in between. So whether you're in business yourself, perhaps you're not in the game at all, maybe you're just looking for some inspiration, or you simply just want to hear the tea when it comes to business, this is the podcast for you. Coming up on today's episode, I'm going to be talking all things my keynote speech. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen that recently, over a weekend, on a Saturday and Sunday, I was working. I worked on the weekend and I did my keynote speech, which I've done once before. So this is my second time doing the same keynote. And I actually had a lot of people who saw it on my story who couldn't attend on the day say, is there any way that we can listen to this or watch this? And whilst I can't run through the entire keynote because it's very visual, because you kind of got to, watch the slides and the screens, and I have a lot of images that I share in my keynote, I thought I could sit down today with Xander and we could run through it, and I could also talk about some of the best bits of the talk because I got a lot of feedback after it. I did a little impromptu meet and greet at the end of both days, and I had a lot of people come up to me, ask me questions and say what they liked about the chat, and there were some great key takeaways in the talk. So I thought I'm just going to talk all things talking keynotes in today's episode. So let's just get straight down to business. So we've got a lot to chat about today about my keynote. I want to share all my thoughts and feelings about actually doing keynote speeches because I know that when it comes to public speaking, it's not everyone's cup of tea. In fact, I think the majority of people hate the idea of talking to a large crowd. But I thought I would start by talking to you about, I think, the best slide in my keynote. And again, if you saw my stories from over the weekend when I was doing the keynote, one of the slides in big red writing, it said, do it scared. Do it scared. And this, why are you laughing, Xander? What do you think when you hear just do it scared?
I'm laughing because on the weekend I saw that slide on your story and I listened to the advice and I did something.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
I just remembered that when you said that, so I had a little giggle.
There you go. So you were meant to see it.
Yeah.
So do it scared. I want all of you to think of this always and remember it and kind of make it your motto. And it was something that I really emphasized to everyone when I was doing the keynote is just remember to do it scared. And the reason why I included that in my talk is because I was talking about content creation because it was like a content kind of event. But in my keynote, I tell my whole story from start to finish and how my whole career started because I started making those YouTube videos and how I quit my job when I was 21 and how I signed my first commercial lease, when fate started to become something. And then how we moved into the building in 2019, I think it was, where I made the plunge to open our first retail store. And I did all of those things scared. I was scared every single time. I was scared when I hired my first employee. I was scared that I wasn't going to have enough money to pay her. I was scared that I wasn't going to have enough tasks for her to do in the day. I remember that being one of my fears. What if I ran out of jobs to give her? But every single thing that I've done in my career that has scared me, I've just done it scared anyway. And I think a lot of people, not even when it comes to content creation or business, it can be anything. It could be applying for a new role. It could be speaking up in your team morning meeting because you have something that you want to address or you have a creative idea that you want to share with the team. It could be anything, moving to a new city. It could be telling someone that they've upset you. It could be in your relationships. People don't do things because they're scared. But I think it's really important to remember you can still do stuff even when you're scared. Just do it scared. the cool thing about doing a keynote, right, is because like you're talking for 40 minutes straight, but you've got all these slides up on the screen behind you. And I just write all big quotes in big, bold writing. And I noticed that when the do it scared slide was on the screen, everyone's phone went up. It's like people loved that. And that's a good indicator for me that, everyone likes this topic because everyone's phone goes up and then they all want to take a photo of that do it scared. And I think, honestly, being scared and like a fear of failure or a fear of judgment or a fear of what other people might say, I know when it especially comes to content creation, people were like, I don't want to post that because I'm like, what would my family say? Or like, what would my friends say? Or what would my colleagues say? Like, you're scared of what people will say. But just because you're scared doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. And I think a lot of people with all things in life, they don't do things because they're scared. Like, oh no, I'm too scared, I won't do it. But my motto of this week and forever is just do the thing scared. If you're scared of doing something, that's even more of a reason to do it. Because I think when you're feeling scared and, I don't know, what if I fail? What if I fall? What if people judge me? And then you do it and then you succeed, I think you were meant to do it, even if you were petrified.
It's how you grow.
It is. It is how you grow. And a lot of people, when they spoke to me after the keynote, they said, I loved the do it scared thing. So take it from me and just remember that quote. Anytime that you're feeling nervous about something or worried, like I even had nerves because when you do the keynote, I was sitting in the front row. And so I watched Jimmy Reese do his keynote before me, and he's a comedian and he's hilarious and he had everyone cracking up. And on the Saturday, obviously that was the first day. And I was sitting there and then I knew that his was wrapping up, and then they come back up on stage and start talking about me. And as I know I'm about to be called up, you start getting that scared feeling and your heart starts racing a bit, and then I wasn't breathing properly. So even when I'm going to do something like speaking in front of 1,000 people, I'm scared, but I just tell myself I'm scared, yes, but I'm still going to do this thing. You can do the things scared. Just because you're scared doesn't mean you should go, no, I'm not going to do it, I'm too scared. Do it while you're scared. And I freaking love that. And I think we can use that in any area of our life. It doesn't just have to be business. It doesn't just have to be content creation. It can be bloody anything. So that was my favorite, moment from my keynote slides that I thought it was worth sharing here on the pod.
When I saw you post about that on the weekend, I was figuring out, because a lot of the time I sit on my bed in my room and I ruminate over things, and I'm going, I want to do this, but I don't think I can, or there's a fear about it. And a thought I had was if I'm always sitting in this spot in my house worrying about things or questioning whether I should do something, I should have those words somewhere on my wall, in
write
sight.
it on your mirror.
So when I'm there and I'm worried and I'm scared, I have that kind of reference, do it scared. So just a little bit of advice from me. And it is silly, but have these things, have a post-it note with do it scared somewhere. Have something written on your wall.
Put it as your wallpaper on your phone.
Yeah, literally.
Do
anywhere
it
where it's
scared.
in sight so it gets ingrained in your mind. It actually does work.
Yeah.
And I'm actually going to be doing that. I'm going to be do it scared.
I love that you can take something away from that.
Wasn't even there.
Exactly right. But I think that's the number one thing that stops anyone from doing anything, really. I think it's your self-doubt. But that's what stops anyone from doing anything ever. Most of the time you can do it, but it's your own fears and worries. And so that's why I love that so much. And I just thought, I got to share it. Everyone, do it scared. Even if you're absolutely shitting yourself, you can still do it when you're scared. On the same sort of theme, another huge chunk of my keynote on the weekend was how comparison is the thief of joy. We all know that saying. And again, it was very visual in my keynote. I've got my slides up in front of me here so I can see them. But I showed some screenshots of my very first YouTube videos back in the day. And I also shared some screenshots, photos of some businesses that I had attempted before I started Fate. And I think maybe in the very first episode of Big Business Pod, I spoke a little bit about like other things that I'd done before Fate.
Yeah, we've talked about the short-lived beauty business and the even shorter-lived phone case debacle.
Yeah. But just to give you a quick recap, like if you haven't listened to episode 1 of Big Business, which if you haven't, like go back and have a listen. And not just for me, but, you know, for a lot of business owners out there, like you'll see business owners in 2025 and everything they're doing, and you can often be like, oh, wow, like, you know, look at everything that this girl is doing, look at everything that this person is doing. But what people don't see is like all the stuff that you had attempted earlier on. And so I took everyone in the audience along on the journey of all the things that I did like years and years and years ago, like back in 2013, like Xander mentioned, and I won't bore you with the details, but in 2013, I attempted to start a few businesses. One of them was a spray tanning business where I was doing mobile spray tans. I was living in a house where like the back steps go down because it's kind of on a slopey block. And then you know how those houses have like a little brick room underneath the back of the stairs. Like I set up a spray tanning business in there, and that one actually worked. Like I got kind of busy. Thursday nights had all the girlies coming over for a $15 spray tan. And then another one that I attempted in 2013, like this is over 10 years ago, was I thought I can sell iPhone cases. But instead of like making them actually my own iPhone cases. Like I went onto eBay because that's where you bought cheap stuff back then. And I bought plain iPhone cases. Then I went to Spotlight. I purchased all of these decorations like lace, pearls, gems, anything that I thought was beautiful. And I spent my own money on this. And then I sat there one night at my dining room table, decorating these like with a hot glue gun, like putting all these decorations on iPhone cases. And then I tried to sell them on Facebook. Because like the internet was so different back then. Like I don't know if Shopify existed back then. Who knows? But you know, I had 300 or 400 friends on Facebook. So I was like, I can sell to these people. And so I posted this photo, beautifully hand decorated iPhone cases for sale, $15 each. And I didn't sell a single one. And there were so many other things that I did before I wound up where I am now, like with Fate and the cafe and everything. And I think it's really important to not compare yourself to other people. And I think in 2025, it's extremely easy to compare yourself to other people because of the way social media is now and how there's so many businesses out there and everyone's on Instagram and TikTok and there's thousands of businesses out there. It's easy to look at what everyone else is doing and compare yourself to them and where they are on their journey. But I mean, for me, I started my entrepreneurial journey a very, very long time ago, and it took me a lot of attempts to land on something, which was Fate. That was the one that worked. That was the one that worked for me. And I spoke a lot about this in my talk. And I think it's just a good reminder. Don't look at other people. Look at other people for inspiration. Absolutely. Follow people. Admire what they do. Take notes and, you know, learn from others. But again, don't compare yourself to them because you're at a different point to them that they are in their journey, the same way that I would be at a different point in my journey compared to where you're at. And we've all been at different levels of our journey over the years. And it's just important to remember that you're on your own journey the same way that everyone else is on their own journey. And we're all at different points. Because if you get too caught up in comparing, again, like you're just going to delay, you're going to doubt yourself. And that was just another really important part of my talk is not everything starts out being amazing like you might see it is on social media today. Another big part of my talk was talking about risk taking, which I kind of have already touched on in this episode already. Again, I think it all comes down to the belief in yourself. And like I mentioned earlier on, every single thing that has happened in my career that has pushed me forward or pushed Fate forward is in a moment where I have recognized that I can say yes to something that scares the crap out of me and I take a risk. And I think it's just really important to know that, the classic saying, without risk, there is no reward. Like, we can't expect, especially in business, to grow or get more customers or grow our following or get new clients or whatever it may be. We can't just expect to sit in the easy lane, I guess, and expect that just because we own a business, things are going to come our way. It's when you take those risks that stuff will happen. And again, I think this goes back to, doing it scared and your fears. Everything that I've achieved has happened as a result of me taking a massive risk. And some of the moments that I speak about in my talk was, for example, when I moved out of my garage where I had my one employee and I signed my first ever commercial lease. It was then that we moved into a bigger space that it opened the opportunity for our business to grow even bigger. Because if you're limiting yourself in your space, we couldn't have grown any bigger in the garage. And it scared the crap out of me that I was going to sign a commercial lease. I was terrified. It was 12 months long, and that scared me so much. It was like a little lease. Most commercial leases are 5 years, but the first one that I signed was just a 12-month lease because it was like a little shed kind of thing. And I remember thinking, I don't think I'm going to make it that 12 months, or I don't think I'm going to be able to pay the rent for 12 months because I've also got to pay rent at home, and then I've got to pay my one employee. But then we moved into that commercial space. I started paying rent there. I hired my second and third employee there. And all of a sudden this snowball started happening, which couldn't have happened if I'd stayed in the safety net of working in my garage. So you've got to do those scary things to then see the growth. That's when it happens. The growth doesn't happen if you're just staying in your comfort zone and not taking any risks. And I spoke a lot about that in my chat. Another thing that I spoke about is how long of a journey entrepreneurship can be. And someone actually asked me after the talk, would you say that it's a marathon or a sprint? And I said, it's a marathon and sometimes you're sprinting in the marathon. It's both. And I loved that question. He said, is business a marathon or a sprint? It's a marathon that never ends, I would say. And you have to be patient. I mean, I know nothing about marathons. I've never run one. Have you ever been in a marathon, Xander? I feel like you are the kind of person that would have been.
I haven't. I've only done bodybuilding.
Wait, what? You haven't? But you've done bodybuilding?
Yeah.
You're so random.
Yeah, I just want to flex. No pun intended.
Anything that you want to do, whether it's content creation, starting a business, starting anything, I think we've got to remind ourselves the importance of it. It's going to take a very long time. And where we live in this world now where we love instant gratification, we buy something online, boom, it can be at your door the next day. You can do something on social media and put it out into the world so quickly, online shopping, TikTok, everything's so fast. I think we have become such impatient creatures with how much we can get whatever we want at the click of a button. When you're wanting to do something like start a business, you want the success to happen overnight, which I get because I'm an extremely impatient person. Business has taught me to become way more patient, and I have learned over the years that all good things take time. I know that's such a cliche fucking saying, but since doing everything that I've done, all these cliche sayings, I'm like, you know what? They're really true. And in my talk, I spoke about how when I was 21, I quit my full-time job. There was the risk that I took. I think back then, because that was 10 years ago or just over 10 years ago now, my full-time job was paying me $550 a week after tax. And my dream back then was to earn $1,000 a week. My dream was to get a job that was $52,000 a year, right? But I threw in the full-time job. There was the risk that I took. I had 80,000 YouTube subscribers. I was earning just enough off that YouTube channel to get by. And by that, I mean, I knew I was going to have $0 in my bank account at all times. I was just going to have enough to pay rent in my share house. I was going to have just enough to buy a couple of groceries, But I took that risk and I made it work. But it took me 3 years after that to get to a good point. It took me so long. And it's very different now because social media is, I would say, easier to grow on now, especially with TikTok. Like, this is back in the YouTube days. But I quit my full-time job when I was 21, and then for the next 3 years, I worked so hard on that YouTube channel. I was pumping out so much content every single week, and it's only me that had the power to do that. No one else was going to make that happen for me. And when I was 24, I hit 1 million subscribers, and it took me 3 years to get there. And same with Fate. Like, Fate is turning 8 this year, and I still feel like we're just getting started, which I know we're not. Like, I know we're, doing amazingly by this point, but especially for, I always talk about, I've mentioned it on here as well, the first 3 years of Fate was a practice run for me. It wasn't until about 3 years in that I feel like Fate really started. Like, for the first 3 years, I was just figuring shit out, doing everything wrong, and we didn't start to see like any real major success until 3+ years in. And I think it's just important to give yourself grace and time when it comes to anything that you want to do. I know we're all so impatient. We want something tomorrow. If we order it online, we want it tomorrow. Thanks to Amazon, we've become so needy. Like, I want it now. But if you want something bad enough, whether it's a career or a business or social media success or anything, you've got to remember you've got to be in it for the long haul, because nothing good will happen overnight. I mean, it can if you're really fucking lucky and something goes viral. I don't know, but then it's probably not going to be sustainable. But just remember, all good things take time. I obviously can't run through my entire keynote speech in a podcast because you need the visuals, you need the slides. If you do go back and listen to episode 1 of Big Business, that's kind of the same theme. But to put the keynote speech in a nutshell, it's me telling my story from the very beginning. I even go back and talk about all the jobs that I had back in the day, which I think is in episode 1 of Big Business from memory. It was like a while ago. Have we been doing Big Business for a year yet? It
will be a year next month, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have to get a cake.
Yeah.
We're going to have to get a cake and do a fun little post.
Happy first birthday, us.
But the keynote is the story of how I did absolutely everything. And I'd love to, it's got me thinking, I'd love to just take this keynote and, turn it into an event of my own and, travel around and kind of turn it into some sort of event where it's not just me telling my story, but do my own kind of inspirational / business / content / women / powerful event. I feel like that'd be a dream of mine. But it's just me sharing my story, and I think the overall consensus of it is that it's inspiring and you can do anything if you just start and just do that first thing that you're scared of doing. That was the whole theme of my chat, and the feedback that I got was just everyone saying that they were feeling so inspired. And I had this one woman come up to me afterwards. She said that she was nearly 50 and that she was quite stylish. And she said, I've been wanting to, create fashion content for someone, my age and my size, because I just don't feel like there's enough representation on social media. And she said that she's been, creating videos, but then not posting them and just hanging on to them because she's just worried that, they'll flop, or she's worried what people will say. And she's like, but after hearing your talk today, I'm just going to start posting. And when it comes to content creation, especially if you're starting out, I think a lot of people's fears are around the numbers. I don't want to post because I'm scared it'll flop. And I say in my talk, who cares if it flops? No one saw it anyway. Ooh. No, who cares if it flops? No one saw it anyway, and no one's fixating on the number of views more than you. And if someone is, if someone that is looking at your account, be like, that only got 150 views, then what the fuck are they doing with their life? Like, what are they doing? How much spare time have they got if they're worrying about that? But trust me, you're the one that's worrying the most. And again, we all started there. I started making those YouTube videos in high school and my videos were getting 100 views and it was just the kids in my school making fun of me. But I didn't worry about that. Yeah, I was a little bit scared, but I just did it anyway. And look at all the shit that I've done because I just started posting those videos. Even though they were crap, they were embarrassing, they were cringe. Another thing that I said in the talk, it's cringe until it's not cringe anymore. It's cringe until it starts working. We all started out cringe. I'm still cringe today, actually. And another thing that I loved was Jimmy Reese also did a talk before me. And if you don't know who he is, you've probably seen his viral videos on TikTok and Instagram. But also for 10 years, he was the host on Giggle and Hoot on ABC, which is a kids show where he talked to the puppet on the set kind of thing. And his talk was really fun and engaging, and he's a comedian as well. So it was making me go, fuck, I'm going to have to get up there and be funny because he was before me and had everyone cracking up. But he just said, don't be afraid to be an idiot. And I completely agree with that. I've always been an idiot on the internet. And again, you could be worried if you're being silly on the internet, who's going to judge me? What are they going to say? But just be an idiot, have fun. And even if you're scared, post the thing anyway or do the thing. This doesn't just apply to content creation. That was the whole theme of the talk. I absolutely loved it. And in the lead up, I was experiencing a little bit of nerves. When you kind of commit to something, then you're like, oh my God, why did I do this? And then you start, questioning whether you are capable of doing it. But I just did it, even if I was a little bit scared. And then you step off the stage and you're like, holy shit, I did it. And I actually loved that. So stay tuned, honestly. I'd love to do more of this public speaking thing and kind of turn it into a big event. I mean, this is just an idea that's in my head right now, so don't get too excited. Shout out to Fujifilm. Don't think they'd be listening, but it was a great event. It was very inspiring and it was so fun that it was at Luna Park of all places. Have you been there lately, Xander?
I have a fun fact. So when I was turning 8 years old, so Luna Park used to be shut down.
Did it?
Yeah, so for a few years it was shut down. I don't remember why. But we knew the guy that operated it or owned it or something like that. Anyway, they opened up Luna Park for me and 5 friends for my 8th birthday, and we had the whole park for my 8th birthday. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's nuts.
I know.
What a good memory.
I know.
I feel like they need to do more. I'm sure they do, but it's a really cool place.
Yeah.
And so the talk that I did was in the big top tent kind of thing, and apparently they've recently done that up in the last couple of years. It was amazing, the venue. We might have to do an event there.
Big business at Luna Park.
Yeah,
live recording.
Anyway, thank you so much to any of you listening that did come along on the day. There was 1,000 seats and it was full both days, so that was super cool. And here's to being scared and doing things anyway. And as always, I'm going to leave you with a tip of the week. I feel like we honestly need to change this, Xander, because I give that many tips the whole episode. What's the point of having a tip at the end?
I love tip of the week so much.
Okay.
I love it.
Let me think. Okay, I've got a tip of the week for you, which has got nothing to do with anything I've been talking about. But if you make content, you're going to love this because I only just learnt about it. The editing app CapCut, which I'm sure a lot of you use. I love InShot better, but CapCut does have a lot more features. CapCut has this feature called transcribe or transcript. I don't know what one it is. It's one of those. And essentially, just say you make a video of yourself and you're sitting there talking for 10 minutes, or maybe you're doing a try on haul or whatever for 10 minutes. And there's you've got 10 minutes of footage that you need to cut down into 3 minutes. You can put that whole video into CapCut, the 10-minute thing, and then you hit the transcribe button. I'm pretty sure it's transcribe, and then it will edit it for you.
That's crazy.
It will then take that 10-minute video. It will cut out all the the moments where you're not saying anything. It will cut out you saying It will cut out you saying If you say, hey everyone, welcome. Hey everyone, welcome. It will take out the first one because it knows that you repeated yourself to sound better the second time. So then it will take a 10-minute video and chop it down way shorter and you will save so much time editing.
Oh, Cut should sponsor the pod after
They
that.
should.
That's great.
So that's my tip of the week.
Wow.
If you do content creation where you need to edit your footage, use that transcribe feature. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. I don't think it's transcript. Anyway, that's my tip of the week and a very useful one at that. Oh, and remember to chase after your dreams as if they owe you money.